If you run a cleaning company, landscaping business, pest control company, pressure washing business, roofing company, plumbing business, HVAC company, or any local home service business, and your meta ads aren't bringing in enough qualified leads, there's a very good chance your targeting isn't the problem. Your budget isn't the problem, and honestly, Meta probably isn't the problem either. The problem is that your ads look exactly like everyone else's. Think about it. The average Facebook and Instagram user scrolls through hundreds of posts every single day. According to Meta, billions of pieces of content compete for attention across their platforms every 24 hours. Now, imagine where your advertisement fits into that. It's sandwiched between family photos, funny videos, breaking news, friends on holidays, and then professional washing service. We offer free quotes. Contact us today. Do you really think that's enough to stop someone from scrolling? Probably not. And that's exactly why so many home service businesses come to the conclusion that Meta ads don't work, when in reality, their ads never earn attention in the first place. Over the last year, I grew my own cleaning business from just $2,000 a month to more than $35,000 a month. And one of the biggest lessons I learned wasn't how to spend more money on Meta ads. It was how to create ads that homeowners actually want to stop and pay attention to. Because here's the truth, Meta algorithm has become incredibly smart. It can find your ideal customer, but it can't make people care about an average advertisement. That's your job. So in this video, I'm going to show you the exact framework I used before I launched any Meta ad. Not gimmicks, not clickbait, not outdated acts, just timeless advertising principles that I've used to grow my own home service business and now use to help other home service businesses generate more qualified local leads. Because once you understand these principles, you'll never look at Meta ads the same way again. One of the biggest misconceptions about Meta ad is that great advertisements are written inside Ads Manager. They're not. They are written long before you ever launch a campaign. Because after growing my own cleaning business and spending between $50,000 and $80,000 on advertising, I've realized something. Most business owners spend hours inside Meta, changing audiences, changing budgets, testing campaign settings, when in reality, they are trying to optimize the wrong thing. The real work starts by understanding your customer. David Ogilvy, often called the father of modern advertising, once said, if you're trying to persuade people to do something, you should use their language. That idea has stuck with me for years because homeowners will literally tell you how to sell to them if you know where to look. For example, before writing a single Meta ad, I'll spend time reading Google reviews. Not just my own, I'll read reviews from competitors too. I'll read local Facebook community groups, I'll read Reddit discussions, I'll even go through comments on YouTube videos about home improvement. Why? Because that's where homeowners stop filtering themselves. That's where they tell you exactly what's frustrating them, exactly what they are worried about, exactly what they wish a contractor would do differently. And here's the biggest mistake I see business owners make. They read all of that information, then rewrite it to sound more professional. Don't. If a homeowner says, I'm tired of contractors who never answers the phone, don't write, we pride ourselves on excellent communication. Write, tired of calling contractors who never answer. It's the same exact message, but one sounds like marketing, the other sounds like the customer's own thought. And that's what great Meta ads do. They don't introduce new conversations. They join conversations that are already happening inside a customer's mind. Because once your prospect feels understood, getting their attention becomes dramatically easier. Now, once you understand what your customers are thinking, the next mistake is trying to solve every single problem in one advertisement. And that's where most Meta ad falls apart. Business owners trying to squeeze everything into one ad. We're affordable, we're experienced, we're family owned, we're fully insured, we have great reviews, we offer same-day service, we use premium equipment. Before long, the ad isn't saying anything memorable. It's saying everything. One of my favorite marketing books is Made to Stick by Chip and Dan Heath. They introduce an idea called the course of knowledge. It's when you know so much about your own business that you assume your customer needs to know everything too. They don't. Your customer only cares about the one problem they're trying to solve today. If someone's basement has just flooded, they don't care that you've been in business for 10 years. If their air conditioning stops working in the middle of the summer, they aren't comparing your company history. They want to know one thing: can you solve my problem? That's why before I write any Meta ad, I ask myself one simple question. What's the one thing this homeowner is worried about right now? Not 5 things, not 10 things, just one. Because the strongest advertisements aren't broad, they are incredibly focused. Think about a tree service business. You could write an ad talking about emergency removals, tree trimming, storm grinding, land clearing, storm cleanup. Or you could write one ad specifically for homeowners who have just noticed a large tree leaning dangerously toward their house after a storm. Which one do you think is going to feel more relevant? Exactly. The same applies to an HVAC business. Don't try to speak to every possible customer. Write one ad for families whose air conditioning has stopped working during a heat wave. Now, your message becomes impossible to ignore because it feels incredibly personal. Here's something I would encourage you to do before launching your next meta campaign. Take out a blank piece of paper. At the top, write, who is this ad for? If your answer is anyone who needs my service, you're still too broad. Keep refining it until you can describe one specific homeowner, one specific situation, and one specific problem they're trying to solve. Because one thing I've learned after running meta ads for my own business is this: the more specific your message becomes, the more qualified your leads become. And ironically, the more people your ad ends up resonating with. Now, even if you've done all the research, even if you understand your customer better than your competitors, there's still one problem. None of it matters if people don't stop scrolling, because every meta ad has one job before it can generate a lead. It has to earn attention, and attention is becoming harder to win every single year. In fact, Nielsen, one of the world's largest consumer research companies, has spent years studying how people interact with advertising. One consistent finding is that people make decisions about whether something is worth their attention almost instantly. If your ad doesn't communicate relevance immediately, people simply keep scrolling. Think about your own behavior. How often do you stop and carefully read every advertisement in your Facebook or Instagram feed? Probably never. You scan, you make a split-second decision, then you move on. That's exactly what your customers are doing too. This is why the first thing people see in your meta ad matters far more than most business owners realize. Jonah Berger, author of Contagious, explains that people pay attention to things that feel immediately relevant to their lives, not because they are flashy, because they matter. For example, if you're running meta ads for a roofing company, which image do you think is more likely to stop a homeowner? A perfectly edited company logo, or a photo showing water dripping through a living room ceiling after heavy rain? The answer is obvious. Now, imagine you're a junk removal company. Instead of showing a branded truck parked outside a house, show a garage so cluttered that a homeowner can't even park their car inside anymore. Immediately, the right person thinks, that's exactly what my garage looks like. Or if you own a pool cleaning business, instead of posting a photo of someone smiling beside your pool, show cloudy green water next to crystal clear water after it's been cleaned. You're not just showing your service, you're showing the transformation. One practical exercise I recommend is this: before you create your next meta ad, ask yourself one question. If someone muted this ad and removed every word, would the image alone make my ideal customer stop scrolling? If the answer is no, your creative probably isn't doing enough of the heavy lifting. Because one thing I've learned after spending years advertising my own cleaning business is that the best meta ads don't fight for attention. They earn it by making the right homeowner think, that's me. And when your ad creates that reaction, everything else becomes easier. Now, there's one final mindset shift that completely changed the way I looked at meta ad. And honestly, it's one of the biggest reasons I see some home service businesses scale while others stay stuck. Most business owners judge their advertising based on the first sale. The best business owners judge it based on the lifetime of the customer. Let's say you own a carpet cleaning business. A homeowner books one clean today. Most business owners think, great, I made $300. But what if that same customer books another clean 6 months later, refers their neighbor, then hires you again before the holidays? Suddenly, that $300 customer is worth over $1,000. The exact same thing happens in landscaping, pressure washing, HVAC maintenance, pool cleaning, and pest control. These aren't businesses where customers should buy only once. They are businesses built on repeat business and referrals. In fact, Bain & Company, in partnership with Harvard Business School, found that increasing customer retention by just 5% can increase profits substantially, because repeat customers are typically less expensive to serve and are more likely to buy again. That's why I've never looked at meta ad as a way to buy leads. I look at them as a way to acquire long-term customers. Because once you start thinking that way, your decisions change. You stop thinking, how can I get the cheapest lead? And you start asking, how can I attract customers who will stay with my business for years? Those are two completely different questions. Here's something I'd encourage every home service business owner to do this way. Take 10 of your best customers, the ones who have spent the most money with your business. Now ask yourself, where did they originally come from? Why did they choose you? Why did they stay? Why did they recommend you? You start seeing patterns, and those patterns should influence every meta ad you create moving forward. Because the goal isn't to generate one book job. The goal is to acquire customers who continue generating revenue long after the first campaign has ended. And that's exactly why I wanted to make this video. Not to show you another meta ad trick, but to show you how I actually think about advertising after growing my own cleaning business from just over $2,000 a month to more than $35,000 a month in under a year. Everything I've shared today comes from strategies I've tested with my own business before ever recommending them to anyone else. Now, could you take these principles, implement them yourself, and improve your meta ads? Absolutely. In fact, I hope you you do. But if you're running a cleaning company, a landscaping business, pest control company, pressure washing business, roofing company, plumbing business, HVAC company, or any local home service business, and you're thinking, I know there is more potential in my meta hat, but I'm not sure what's holding them back, I'll be happy to take a look. Sometimes the biggest breakthrough doesn't come from learning another tactic. It comes from having someone who's already built and scaled a home service business identify the bottlenecks you can't see yourself. Maybe it's your offer, maybe it's your messaging, maybe it's your campaign structure, or maybe your ads are generating attention but not attracting the right customers. Either way, you'll leave the conversation with a much clearer understanding of what I've changed if this were my business. And if it turns out we're a good fit to work together, I'd love to help you build a meta ad system that consistently generates qualified local leads, not just more clicks, but more booked jobs and long-term customers. So if you're serious about growing your home service business, click the link below, reach out, and let's have a conversation.